Now we move on to our cheese, the first step of cheese. Now, if you're using American, you're going to use this pattern that I'm using. Like I said, in my case, we're using pepper jack to give it a little bit of kick. And because my wife doesn't like the American, I tend to use Monterey Jack. And Monterey Jack is very hard to find in slices. And because I don't have a slicer, I have to buy it pre-sliced if I want nice even slices. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating a nice even pattern. Notice I'm not completely covering the pizza, and there's a reason for that. If you completely cover the pizza, this cheese, when it's exposed to the heat, will burn. American cheese will do it even worse. It'll get a brown crust on it and it will burn. This is just, like I said, a white sauce that goes underneath that creates a little bit of flavor and keeps the vegetables and meat from drying out. Now, we are mostly covering, but not completely covered, because this is not our primary cheese. This will combine with the sauce and give it a nice moistness and a nice flavor. Okay, so now that's the pattern that you want to use, just to give you a little bit of coverage, but not too much. You don't want sauce out on the crust here, so if you see that, fix it, because that'll make that burn. Okay, now from here we begin putting our toppings. Lots of nice Philly meat, and we're going to do this in layers. We're not going to put all of one topping and then all of another topping, because when you eat a Philly cheesesteak, it's all mixed together, and there's a reason for that. It gives you good flavor all the way through. It cuts down on the greasiness, and it gives you a little bit of variety as you're biting in. So we're going to put some of the meat down, we're going to put some peppers down, we're going to put some onions down. Now, you don't have to use up all of the toppings that you pre-made, but in this case, we're going to, because I created just enough for this pizza. Now we're going to go through and do another layer. And notice my hands aren't close to the pizza, and I'm using both hands. Never put toppings on with just one hand. If you do, you're going to end up with piles of topping in one spot and nothing in other areas. By using both hands, you make yourself spread it out. So we're going to go along and put more pepper. I know you're saying this doesn't look much like a pizza, because now I've covered the cheese that was there. But rest assured, we have more cheese going on this pizza. Now, as I said before, if you use just mozzarella, your pizza is going to be greasy. What we're using is a blend. The reason I'm using a blend, it's a pre-made blend, and it has mozzarella and cheddar. The cheddar will keep the pizza from getting greasy. So now that we have toppings, now, just like before with the toppings, you're just going to start sprinkling the cheese on. It is okay to still see sauce. Don't think that you have to cover every inch with cheese, because cheese has a tendency to melt down about 4 times the size of these little shreds to cover an area. So you don't need to overdo it. If you do, you're going to have a cheesy mess in your oven to clean up. Okay, so now I only use half the bag. Excuse me. Okay, the pizza is cheesed. Now for me, I like oregano on my pizza. My father grows it in his garden, dries it in his basement, and then gives it to me. And I crumble it up and I put it on top of the pizza. I try to crumble it as fine as I can, so you're probably not even seeing it, but it is going on there. Now this gives it the authentic Italian flavor. Seeing as how Philly cheesesteak is not an Italian dish. It's become known as an Italian dish, but it is completely American, created in Philadelphia. Okay, so now the pizza's ready. Now we're going to put it into the oven. Now you want your oven, you're going to cook this pizza anywhere from 425 to 450. If you go over 450, the dough will not rise, the crust will get dark and brown, but the dough will not rise. It'll be a very thin pizza. If you run it too low, below 425, the dough will rise, but it won't brown. And then you'll have a thick crust, but it won't be crispy on the outside. And when you go to pick it up, everything's going to just droop and fall off. So what I do is I preheat my oven to 425, and when I'm ready to put the pizza in the oven, I turn it up to 450. The reason for that is it's not too hot going in. It gives the dough a chance to rise before it reaches 450, and then it cooks. It's going to take about 10 to 12 minutes to cook in your oven, and we'll see it when it's done. Pizza's out of the oven, and as you can see, it looks really good. Now, one little tidbit for those of you who are making your pizza at home. I told you it'd take you about 10 to 12 minutes to bake. Halfway through, you're going to want to reach in there and spin the pizza 180 degrees. Your oven may cook pretty even, but this will give you a nice even brown on your crust, as you can see here, and it'll allow it to cook completely evenly. Otherwise, you'll end up with spots that'll be dark and spots that'll be light. And those lighter spots, you might find the dough a little doughy. And you want to make sure that the dough is cooked all the way. Now, we're going to cut it and eat it. And if you look over at our table, you'll see that my wife has a beautiful table set with our salads already ready. Tidbit for those of you making pizza at home: cut it and let it sit. You want to let this pizza sit after you cut it for about 4 or 5 minutes. 2 reasons. One, the cheese is going to melt back together, and it's going to make it hard to take out. If you try to take it out now, the cheese is too hot, it'll run off and you'll lose all your toppings on the pan. The other reason, so you don't burn yourself. This pizza is at 400 degrees. Technically, if you were to take a temperature of it, it'd be somewhere around 350. When a pizza comes out of the oven at a pizza shop, it's about 350 degrees. They don't serve it to you directly. They take it out, they give it a chance to cool, they cut it, and then they serve it. This is to prevent you from burning yourself. And you'll notice sometimes, if it's a pizza shop that's in a hurry, you'll get that pizza and that first bite, you'll burn the roof of your mouth. 350 degree cheese is like putting boiling water in your mouth. So now we're going to sit down and enjoy our pizza. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be seeing you again soon. And there you have it. A nice, cheap meal, delicious as it looks, cost about $8. And you can make this at home. Have a good one.